Alright, so we're back at the fucking Apex again for what I can't believe is the 90th card at this godforsaken shit stain of a venue. So I'm going to try and give this breakdown the quick thrashing this dog shit card deserves. Quick thanks to all the new subscribers, and for those that turned up, especially for the live streams, you are all beautiful bastards. Yeah, let's get into this shit sandwich. Alright, on to the first complete waste of everyone's time, DIXON versus CORNOLLE. Yeah, these two are the worst in the worst division in the UFC and aren't ranked in it. So yeah, I'm going to take DIXON by surprise, boring as fuck decision. CORNOLLE is an alright kickboxer, but I don't like her grappling chops, and I think DIXON will get her down in parts and do well enough in the striking to do okay there. I predict 15 minutes of the least sexy scissoring imaginable, even standing, and DIXON to get it done, landing more takedowns. Typical bottom feeder bantamweight trash, and the perfect fight to take place while the 20 people at the Apex watching meander into their seats while chatting and turning their backs on this shit as they filter in. Alright, next one up, we've got BUDKA versus ALMEIDA at middleweight. Fuck me. Expect this level of enthusiasm throughout this card. Didn't really have to put too much thought into this one either. ALMEIDA is a 36-year-old kickboxer, and BUDKA is an actual mixed martial artist. Now, obviously, without IQ testing still not available, and the fights and the minimal tape, we have no choice but to assume what we know, and that's that BUDKA will use his clear grappling advantage and not stand and bang with a relatively dangerous striker. But we are operating on faith here. BUDKA's Contender Series performance bored me to fucking tears, but it led me to believe that he doesn't really care about crowd pleasing and will do what he needs to get a win. So I'm going to say he uses decent boxing to close in quickly, grab some doubles, and punish ALMEIDA on the ground. He should probably win if his head isn't full of fucking sawdust, but we can never really count on that. Alright, so we've got a couple of bantamweights now. We've got ARGUETA and MATSUMOTO. Alright, finally this one should actually be fun. I'm going to go with the Brazilian guy with the Japanese sounding name. Now, ARGUETA is a well-rounded and capable guy. You know, he's got pop in his strikes and decent wrestling, but I didn't really like his performance against Miles Johns recently, who, let's be fair, was juiced to the gills. So maybe citing that loss is a little bit harsh. I think Matsumoto is the more crispy striker with the better range to work off, and for me is more dangerous on the ground. So if Argueta plays silly games getting him down, he's likely to win silly prizes for doing so. I do like fighters that have a range of wins on their records, and this guy is not just undefeated, but has a range of flashy KOs and submissions, and can also embrace the grind to a decision. I think this being in the Apex is going to help him settle the nerves while nobody watches. I can see this one going to a decision with Matsumoto doing the work at range. Our next one, we've got female bantamweight this time. We've got Rodriguez and Calvillo. There was a time I actually thought Calvillo was quite good. I know, the tart tricked me. She's lost 5 in a row to some pretty mer competition. We haven't seen her in a while. And her last win came ages ago against Jessica I, one of the most insufferable, annoying fuckwits to ever be in the UFC. What bothers me about Calvillo is that she is a midget, and if she could stop stuffing her fat fucking face, she could probably make atomweight. Fortunately for her, she's fighting Piera Rodriguez, who is so average at pretty much everything and a 0 finishing ability. I've got no confidence picking either one of these crumpets, so I can see this one being a sloppy, horrible fight that goes to a decision and probably results in a split decision. Calvillo has a way worse record, but at least she's faced some decent competition, so don't be a bird brain and pick a winner in this one. They're both very shit. Alright, next one up, we've got ALATENG versus HUGO. This one's actually intriguing. I like both these dudes. On one side, I see ALATENG being a lot more powerful in the wrestling and striking, and HUGO having the clear jiu-jitsu advantage. Now, HUGO does have a significant reach, but his striking is not very technical. which makes his nickname Striker lacking a certain self-awareness, which does worry me. I have a feeling that this guy might be a little bit special. The unflattering kind of special. I'm trying to avoid using the R word lately. So despite that advantage, I can see him being stupid and banging and letting Haley get in close. And I think in the first round, Haley's going to drop Hugo badly and that Hugo's going to need to survive. I'm going to go on a hunch here and say that he does survive by the skin of his ass in this round. ALATENG is really hard to submit, which makes this pick a little bit weird for me. But ALATENG might resort to wrestling if he fails to chin Hugo early and get caught in something weird on the ground. Hugo isn't just good down there, he's very unorthodox. The knee bar he got in the Contender Series was really slick. So yeah, I'm going to take Hugo, but I would not bet on either of these guys. This is a tricky one. Alright, the next one up, we've got two featherweights who are actually fighting at bantamweight. Now that division's stone cold dead. This one is going to surprise some people, but I'm picking this person for probably the most petty reason imaginable. The last time we saw Dumont, she was sprinting after Chelsea Chandler, who copped a few bangs and then turned and ran from her in the middle of the fight. Really funny shit. The win over Carol Rosa is decent and has aged even better after her war with Irene Aldana in one of the scraps of the year last year. Fantastic fight. Check that one out if you haven't. Now, I know Jermaine de Randamie is a coward who hasn't fought in over 3 years, but that's kind of why I'm picking her. She only gets in there with people she knows she can beat. The former champion is actually a pretty good fighter for a woman, and at plus 200 against Dumont, who has only one good win on her record, and who pretty much only clinches as a way to win, is way too wide for me. Also, and more importantly, I can never pick against anybody who's made Juliana Pena squeal like a piggy. I know she's old, but the time off might have done her well, and I think she's going to eke out a decision using her range and land more strikes. I'm going to take the Iron Lady to edge it. All right, in the last fight on the prelims, we've got McGee versus Morono. Last fight on this one. This is a fairly safe one for me. I think Court McGee is a vet with a decent career, but he's old now, and he got melted horribly in his last two fights, and he's iceberg fucking slow. Morono is a kind of a weird fighter to me. If you watch the guy fight, he looks very goofy and frankly awful, but he's inexplicably, let's say, effective. He puts on a lot of pressure, is pretty defensively responsible, and I just don't think McGee has the pop anymore to chin him. I think Morono outworks him massively, will be way too fast, and either gets a stoppage later on or a clear UD, peppering this old cunt's face off. Yeah, I can see this being McGee's last fight in the promotion. All right, so on the screen now are my overall picks on the prelims. This one is littered with landmines. Calvillo and What's Her Face to go over 2.5, I like. And Morono work as nice fluffers. I quite like Matsumoto as part of that group as well. If you do fancy a live dog, I would go with the Randemie to odds bust and beat Dumont on the money line over 200. It's risky, but you know, she's been off for a long time, but I just think she's a better mixed martial artist. All right, on to the first fight on the main card. This is a nice little banger to start the card off. We've got Peak versus Campbell. Now, I like Trevor Peak a lot for the pure entertainment standpoint. He's going to throw some weird stuff in there. He's going to headhunt, and he makes every fight into a total war. If you're trying to convert a soy boxing fan tonight, this might actually be the one. There is always the danger here that he catches Campbell and sleeps his ass, but that's basically what you're banking on if you're a Peak fan, basically landing with something loopy and stupid. Let's be kind here and fair though. The guy's an inbred moron. Charlie Campbell is more well-rounded, more technical, and as long as he doesn't get drawn into the kind of firefight where you know where you're kind of kid and you're smashing two action figures together. If he avoids that, he should win this fight. I think Campbell learned the hard way in getting chinned by Duncan in a fight that he was winning. I think he's bounced back well in his last two. And as long as he keeps this technical and wears Peak out by placing better shots, I think he's going to get this one done. If Campbell can just avoid doing what Emma's did last week and getting drawn into something silly, I think he should win a clear decision, or maybe even win by a filthy KO when Peak fades. I've shat on this card quite a bit, but this one should be very entertaining. savor it because there isn't that many more to come. All right, next one on, we've got heavyweights. We've got Walker versus BRZESKI. I'm getting dodgy vibes on this one. Now, of course, Walker is the clear pick. He's 265 pounds of clear muscle, 6'6", and he's fighting a guy in BRZESKI who has had a horrible UFC run and is 30 pounds lighter than him and still a fat mess. He could easily lose another 30 pounds and make light heavyweight if he wasn't such a gluttonous, disgraceful pig of a man that took the sport seriously. So the Russian has every physical advantage. Despite looking like a behemoth though, it's not like he's been collecting heads in the regionals. He does have impressive cardio for a big man and a nice takedown threat. So I can see him taking the tubby pole down and landing a lot of ground and pounds. A viral KO would be nice to inject some energy into this card, but I can see this being a more sustained beating that maybe slips over 1.5. BRZESKI is being basically put in there to make this guy look good. And while the Russian wins, I think it might be a little bit underwhelming. I've got Walker to win, and this is a nice fluffer. But yeah, I think this is going to be a boner killer for the card. All right, next up, we've got lightweights, Bahamondes and GIAGOS. And this one kind of honestly surprised me. My main problem with this one, well, I've got a few, but I'm going to get to the most pressing. It's the odds. Minus 375 for Bahamondes after the stinky performance he just put in against Ludovic Klein is really scary to me. I can't recommend him as a fluffer for that reason, but I can't really pick GIAGOS either, who is tough, but let's be fair, is very up and down. Anyway, I'm going to assume that Bahamondes in his fight against Klein got the learning experience that he needed to be had. He's a massive lightweight, is a really good rangy kickboxer, and should piece GIAGOS up here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the earlier question marks. GIAGOS has faced really good guys, done really well at times. But what strikes me the most is the starching he just got from Zellhuber, who is very comparable physically to Bahamondes. I don't like the odds in this one. But Bahamondes, because Bahamondes looked horrible getting taken down and controlled by Klein. And GIAGOS is of a similar body type. So again, that makes me nervous. I think Bahamondes is going to get back on track though and win though. And if he keeps a safe distance and snipers. But with these issues, I think it's worth, maybe seeing this one out. Minus 3.75 is way too wide for me, but Bahamondes should win. All right, feature fight of the evening, we've got Charriere versus Mariscal. I'm going to ride with Shepe, man. I think this dude is so crafty, seasoned, and so underrated. And Charriere is French. Seriously, I do think that Charriere is a nice-looking striker on the eye, but he's not a dog like Mariscal, who's going to get up in his face and make this horribly ugly. The golfing competition is night and day. Shepe's bumped into some murderers in the regionals, such as Brito, who he did lose to, but he beat Sabatini and Zalal, and has shown he's UFC ready recently by dusting Peak and following it up with a win against Jenkins, who just quit in there to the pressure. Shepe, I think, is going to utilize the grappling here, wear Charriere out, who will look good probably early on, but will fade when Shepe doesn't go away. Really like the dog here. The Frenchman has beaten nobody of UFC caliber. And I think the UFC odds makers are sleeping on Shepe again here. I think he wins a gritty decision by taking over after a close first round and then drowning Charriere for however long he can survive in there. Yeah, I'm going with Mariscal to get a upset win against the bookies. Right, so co-main event, we've got Hernandez versus Jackson at featherweight. Yeah, this is not the co-main event that anybody wanted, but we know this card is arse, so let's just move on. Damon Jackson is a grappling-only fighter with horrible striking. So Hernandez should be the obvious pick here. His takedown defense is good, and he's way more explosive and technical striking. My worry with Hernandez, though, is that these are the kind of fights that he ends up losing. When you think he's finally turned a corner and seems to get it ready together, he loses again. His cardio's let him down so many times. And I worry what will happen in this one if Jackson is still hanging about at the midpoint of the second round. When Hernandez gasses, it's horrible to witness. He completely folds. Jackson will have the cardio advantage if he's still there. And is likely to be the bigger dog after taking what I expect will be a beating early on, so look out for that. I'm going to say though that Hernandez plays it patient, stuffs some takedowns, works some leg kicks, wobbles Jackson enough at times, and then takes this to a patient decision. I'm worried though, and if I were you, I would not trust this balloon animal with your money. Watch this guy's loss in particular to Billy Q to see what I mean. Really sums him up. I'm going to go with Hernandez, but I do not like it at all. Alright, so on to the main event, and we've got a rematch here between Chris Curtis and Brandon Allen. Alright, up to this breakdown, I've been picking Brandon Allen in my head, and I even went online last night on a live stream and called Chris Curtis a gigantic whiny vagina, and said that I think he's going to get choked out in this one. But now that I'm actually here, I'm kind of doubting myself. Now, since losing to Curtis, Allen has been on a hell of a tear. He's had 6 straight wins since, and has looked better and better with each fight. But let's just examine those wins for a little moment, shall we? He beat Sam Alvey, who I love, but the man's been cooked for a decade. He beat Jacob Malkoun, which was a close decision, who was very young in his career. He beat Jotko, who is mid, and where the fuck is he now? He also beat Andre Muniz, who got killed by Paul Craig, and has looked so soft lately. He also beat Bruno Silva, who's lost 6 in 7, and just got melted by Weidman. And then he beat Paul Craig, who, let's just call him a one-trick pony that cannot strike. He's got mad dick slinging skills though, so definitely a grade A poon bandit, which, let's be honest, is way more important. Chris Curtis is a whiny cunt that throws bitch fits mid-fight when his opponents don't fight exactly where he wants them to. But his takedown defense is elite, and he's got better boxing than Allen and is so damn tough to finish. Curtis has shown he can hurt Allen too if he cracks him, and that's a major concern for me going into this one as well. So I might live to regret this, and I hope I'm wrong, and that Allen's improvements are real and not just a result of a horribly aged win streak. But I think Curtis might get an upset here, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this. If I'm betting though, I'd actually take this one to go over 3.5, so that's my official pick. But at like plus 200, Curtis might actually be a live dog here. Styles make fights, and while Allen is a better all-round fighter that seems to have improved a lot, I am concerned that his skill set is very well suited to Chris Curtis. 5 rounds as well. These dudes at Coach will spend all day fucking each other up. And yeah, man, I think Allen might come unstuck here. Alright, so here's an overview of the main cards. If you're looking for fluffers, I'd go with Campbell and Walker. Over 3.5 in the main event is also a nice one for me too. I can see that one going long either way. If you like dog money, I'd go with Shepe as a live one to make the Frenchman quit. Come on, people, that's what they do. Alright, so look out for more lives this week and more MMA topics. We average about 3 or 4 a week here. Like and subscribe and share and all that good shit. And I'll see you for the next one. Go away now.